We're underneath a 70-unit condominium building. And so I know back in the spring when we got the hammer through the window, they were very concerned about that. Would there be any more damage to the building? Could there be a fire danger or something that obviously would impact the people living upstairs?
Jonathan Nelms is the co-owner of Supra and Shaw and Tabla on Georgia Avenue. The uncertainty surrounding the election caused him to temporarily and proactively close both restaurants this week.
The first priority, of course, is the safety of our team and the safety of anybody who would come to join us at one of our restaurants. And so we made the decision to close on Tuesday and Wednesday.
It's a decision he says was made with input from the community, a community that is invested in protecting its neighbors.
They were very concerned and very helpful about actually even coming down to Supra to help cover up some things, cover up some walls, move some stuff. And that was very gratifying. I mean, that does give you a sense of community that, look, I mean, we're all in this together.
Lisa Palmer and Rashida Brown are advisory neighborhood commissioners in Georgetown and Columbia Heights. They say community members in their neighborhoods are also coming together to look out for each other.
We have the Citizens Association of Georgetown, who has a regular safety patrol that will be part of our regular keeping our neighborhood safe. In advance of the election, the ANC, for instance, is inviting the commander of the police department to speak at our ANC meeting tonight to talk a little bit about what their expectations are and what their staffing will look like.
We have a community that is made up of 60% of African Americans and 25% of Hispanics. So you're talking about a racially diverse community that has a lot of pride in our neighborhood, supports local businesses, and are very concerned about community conditions. So just kind of creating an emergency management plan during this time to make sure that everybody is safe, not only for the businesses, but also for the residents.